Hi YouTubers, and I'm back for another one of these What Would Have Happened If This Were in Real Life RhinoTMRTGamePlay series YouTube videos. Now, I've been trying time and time over and over again to keep on doing more of these, because they're totally great, they're very interesting, and I'm just really thinking about, like which ones I should do and which ones I should try and do for myself for today. I was thinking that this one could be an 11-minute one or a 12-minute one, so I'm just gonna, if anything goes wrong, if it's not an 11-minute one, then I'll make it a 12-minute one. Yeah, and I guess it kind of would make sense. Now, this one's actually, like a sort of like a spin-off, like another one of those spin-off movie ideas I have for these, so yeah. And I figured I'd start off on a perfectly good note, so yeah, I guess it kind of does make sense, so yeah. So this is what would have happened if the Titan Megamind spin-off movie story were in real life. Yeah, with this being the Titan Megamind. Now, with this being the Titan Megamind spin off movie story, there's going to be a few couple of changes. This spin off movie story is actually going to take place during the Megamind movie itself. It would take place during it, where Titan is convincing Megamind to become sort of like his minion, like his own version of minion, so that way they could rule the city. Though this of course would answer the question as if what if Megamind uh, accepted Titan to rule for both of them to rule the world together. Now that's kind of how it would all take place. Now honestly, this would change out a few couple of things if Megamind became Titan's minion, and didn't became the hero. Well, for one, Megamind wouldn't become the hero, and it would play out in a different way. So we'd start off with exactly where it once were. Like Megamind is trying not to accept the Titan's offer to rule the world, to rule Metro City together. But then Titan actually there now in this version Titan actually knows that Megamind wants to become his minion. So in this version, it would probably play out something like Titan would like Megamind would say, well, okay, I mean, I kind of Megamind would probably would in this version Megamind probably would have said something like, Titan, the world, there's no one left to stop us. Do you really think that by the time it's just gonna play out the same way? You're not gonna have a superhero to stop you, and you won't even bother to come back to your old self. So yeah, and I guess that's kind of how it would all play out. So that's kind of how it would all start off. And then I think the next part is that for one reason, Metro Man probably would, be saddened by the fact that Megamind doesn't become the hero in this version. Yeah, again, this is sort of like a what if spin-off, some sort of movie idea. And honestly, it's actually a very interesting one. Seeing how I did Megamind 2, seeing how I did the Megamind 2, what would have happened if this were in real life round TMRT gameplay series YouTube video. I figured I'd do that one, and of course now we see Megamind, who now and Titan now trying to rule over Metro City, and basically burning down the entire city. They of course burn down the entire city and then make an entire kingdom in Metro City and call it Metro Kingdom. So they of course call it Metro Kingdom, or in which case is Titan's Metro Kingdom. Titan obviously would rule the world out of all of it. Now, all the other people who used to live in Metro City will now rename to Titan's Metro Kingdom. All of them would eventually leave through the sewers and then swim out of the sewers and find a new island for their civilization, for their new city to live in. so that way they can find a new city to live in. And while Roxanne Ritchie would be one of the only one out of the Metro civilians to head back and convince Titan to become a much better person. But however, this will ultimately fail. Roxanne Ritchie would eventually die, much like in every other superhero movie sequel ever made. Much like in every superhero movie sequel ever made, where they get rid of the female character. And then Megamind is all like, well, no, you can't do that. Well, then, of course, Titan says he can and he will. He can and he already did. So Megamind, of course, just ignores it. So then over the past few years, Titan and Megamind have been doing perfectly well in Metro Kingdom. They've ruled over the entire world, yet despite ruling over all of the world, despite ruling over Metro Kingdom, what used to be called Metro City, now that after ruling it over, Titan now realizes that he's just like Megamind. He has no superhero to stop him. So, in order to solve this yet again, Megamind would, instead of Megamind just, making another superhero, he actually after failing so many times at, finding other plans, something like that, after failing at finding out some other plans and trying to see if they can work, he does some other. Megamind would probably do the something that no one else has ever done: fly up to space and see if his parents are still alive. So Megamind, as Titan's minion, he would rebel against Titan and go all the way up to space without him knowing. Yeah, which kind of does seem very different, but it's a very gray and all that. And then Megamind, of course, goes to find his long lost planet. So, and then he basically doesn't appear, and then he doesn't appear for the rest of the movie. And then of course we see Titan, who still is ruling over Metro Kingdom, despite the fact that, this is Titan's movie after all. This is Titan's movie after all, so why not give him more? So, this is Titan's spin-off movie, so why not give him more? So, it would definitely be great to give him more screen time. So, then of course we meet up with mainly the mayor of the Metro City, and then he begs Titan to stop all of this, but Titan, of course, doesn't stop it. He still keeps him prisoner. He doesn't stop all the bad stuff. He of course throws him in the jail cell, and then that pretty much ends out all that. And it would still, and the ending. Okay, so I'm not gonna make it look totally different and all that, but it's kind of an interesting new storyline as to what could have happened and what would have been. Yeah, and I can only reimagine that. Who else can I think of? What about? Yes. Titan would have control over Metro City. It would be called Metro Kingdom, and then he would just call it Metro Island Kingdom. And then we see a couple of years later, he basically just calls it Metro Kingdom Island for some odd reason. And then he just has ruled over it. However, he hasn't heard from Megamind in a long time, or his supposed sidekick Minion, but he doesn't really matter to Titan at all. Minion doesn't, but yeah, it kind of does make a lot of sense. At least this is until when Titan finds out, when Titan goes into Megamind and Minion's lair, which actually still does exist, only to find out that Minion is the only one at Megamind and Minion's lair. You see, because Megamind and Minion's lair, usually Megamind uses his lair to call up Titan's lair, which is basically the mayor's building in Metro City. Yeah, so that's also another interesting concept, like two layers at the same time. Megamind and Minion's fake laboratory lair, and then of course the other lair, which is actually Titan's lair, which is basically just the mayor's office and like all that. Which I guess kind of does feel very great and all that. So let's skip over to the end of it all of it. I mean, it kind of just makes sense. So Megamind, of course, would be told by his parents in space that in his own planet that Megamind's parents, who would still be alive, would tell Megamind that he is destined for greatness. Megamind would head back to Earth. Titan would obviously see that Megamind is the hero. Obviously, it would still end out the same way with Megamind putting an end to Titan, and then Megamind mourning the loss of Roxanne Ritchie and both Metro Man, because Metro Man died a couple of years later by Titan. Well, I mean after Roxanne Ritchie's death. I mean after Roxanne Ritchie's death, Titan gets rid of Metro Man. That's also another small hidden detail, is that Titan gets rid of Metro Man. So Megamind mourns the loss of both Roxanne Ritchie and Metro Man. And then of course, instead of keeping the name Metro City, he actually calls it Mega City. So Metro City, or supposedly, which was then later renamed Metro Kingdom. So Metro Kingdom officially is renamed Metro City, and both the mayor of Mega City, formerly Metro City and not Metro Kingdom, and Megamind, they all just party and for getting rid of Titan. Megamind and Minion both get together, and then they all just party and for getting rid of Titan. And yeah, I guess that pretty much ends out the whole thing, the whole movie story idea. So yeah, and that was what would have happened if the Titan Megamind spin-off movie story were in real life. Now, honestly, I kind of like this idea. The Titan Megamind spin-off movie story, like the spin-off movie story for the Titan character in Megamind, where we all want to know, like, what would have happened if Megamind joined forces with Titan when Titan said that Megamind should team up to rule the city and maybe potentially the world if they tried. I mean, it would still be a happy ending, but without it would still be the same thing, but without Roxanne Ritchie and Metro Man, and just just Megamind, Minion, and the mayor of Mega City. So yeah. Anyways, that's it for today. Peace out. Bye bye.